All right, so day 37, and to be honest, this may be the last Great Falls Park photo slash video that we're gonna see because I think I've checked it all. I think this is probably gonna be the last one. If not, there's maybe gonna be one or two videos of this photo scene, as I'm calling it, left. So I'm not gonna say that it's unfortunate, but hey, we had our little run with this one location, and from this one location, it resulted in me by far, I guess, accomplishing more in Lightroom, but not just that, but also learning more as far as with masking in Lightroom and how it affects a photo, right? But nonetheless, we go here to what's gonna be our possibly last photo from Great Falls Park. Maybe. There may be a video or two left remaining, but most likely this is probably gonna be the last one. We're gonna do our changes. I'm sorry if I sound a little bit off. Not gonna lie, I just finished waking up and I decided on recording, but it is what it is. I guess I never explained it before, but the reason why I'm starting to crop my photos to an 8x10 or a 4x8 is because that's the crop that normally that Instagram is most comfortable with, if that makes sense. In other words, basically stating that it's the best crop for when I want to publish my photos on Instagram. That's basically the whole gist of it. Now, in this photo, this may look a little bit not as far as confusing, but you may not see much going on in this photo. And that's mostly because I planned on shooting this, what appears to be an eagle, first of all, on a tree. I planned on shooting it a little bit with a little bit more light. But the issue is with my 100 to 400 millimeter lens, I'm already starting off at an f4. And f4 is kind of, no, actually not an f4, an f5, believe it or not. So already off the bat, the quote unquote, the highest or the most brightest scenario or the brightest cases that I would use my lens. I tried, okay, in moral of the story, I tried my best as far as making this photo a little bit more exposed, although it's kind of questionable. Again, I'm sure with a little bit of masking, maybe a little bit of magic we can most likely be able to kind of expose this photo, although it may look a little bit too underexposed. We're gonna definitely do some masking and see what we can do, right? And believe it or not, we see this dot right here. I don't know what was it when I go back and I try to look at what happened. If we go here, I think this is some sort of like healing brush or whatever the case may be. If I were to click here and press it, it almost kind of like erases the little mark. Not too good because we can kind of still see the mark right here, but fairly well. It did a fairly okay job. So, well, it's something very minor, but we continue on going. Now, as I look at it, obviously number one, I definitely do wanna expose this bird, but not too much, because maybe, believe it or not, this kind of scene that we have as far as with making it too dark, it may actually serve as well, but at the same time, I don't wanna have the whole picture, or at least the main subject, which being in this case the eagle, I don't want it to be too underexposed. But as I look at it, that may or may not be an issue. But I'm gonna try my best as far as see what I can do, right? Now, I am gonna say again, with kind of what you guys expected. I kind of looked through the whole footage for Great Falls Park, behind the scenes. In all fairness, I stated that when was it, day 35, 4 or day 35, I stated that there probably are some behind the scenes footage that can still be used. I checked through it. In all fairness, all that behind the scenes footage was crooked. So very very unfortunate. I'm gonna say that, very unfortunate that I'm not gonna be able to show you guys really how nice this park was. I'm still pretty pissed off about that, but all I'm gonna say is that my new arrival, I don't want to spoil it, but the thing I was kind of hinting towards, as far as, you know, that it may serve us well in the future, that just arrived today. I'm not gonna say no more. I'm sure you guys, hopefully by the next video, should have an idea as far as what I'm talking about, or maybe it should be kind of, maybe hopefully you guys notice that there's a change with the videos, more specifically with the behind the scenes, right? Okay, so with this one, I'm kind of going back and forth. I kind of already went back and removed the mask I was attempting on doing for the subject, because I guess, in all fairness, it's going to be kind of a experimenting photo slash, or in this case, video for you guys as well. Because in all fairness, I kind of really don't know what I should do with this photo, because trying to expose the photo as a whole, there's no way it's gonna, the actual subject in this case would be the eagle, and maybe the elements as far as with the branch, the trees in the background. It's just gonna come out not looking good, too pixelated, too noisy, and probably a little over edited. So I'm kind of right now really debating as far as, you know, what I'm gonna, what's my plan of attack for this photo, because this is, I will say, this is kind of a photo that in some way, shape, or form, it's different than the photos we've edited so far in this journey, because normally with the photos we've edited so far, the subject would be at least somewhat exposed. However, in this case, we're dealing with the opposite. It's a little bit not a little bit, it's heavily underexposed. So I'm just really debating and seeing what is going to be our plan of attack. And maybe, believe it or not, I may have a plan or so, but I'll see what I can do. Okay, so kind of my plan of attack. This video may include way more cuts than usual, because again, I kind of, in all fairness, really kind of don't know what I'm doing, and I just don't want this to be kind of, I don't know, like a boring session for you guys to kind of sit through. So, or who knows, maybe I might fast forward it so you guys have an understanding as far as what my plan of attack is. But just what I'm gonna do, I've kind of selected the background, and I'm currently just removing the portions, because what I'm gonna do is go here. If I were to maybe, okay, that is that could be something we do. So what I'm probably gonna do is, behind the eagle, we're gonna create that illusion that there's a light source right dead center where the eagle is. which would make sense, and it would kind of bring this kind of illusion as far as the eagle is underexposed, because behind the eagle is the source of light. Again, I'm probably gonna be playing that idea around, but maybe as I'm doing it, I'm probably gonna stick to that. So that's kind of my thought process right now, because this is, again, a different photo than what we've been doing over the past couple of 37 videos so far. This is something that, me personally, this is something unique in some way, shape, or form. And as I look at it, maybe if I were to just ever so slightly, maybe just, I don't want to do it too much, because I don't want to make it seem that I don't want this to be over edited in some way, if that makes sense. So I'm just trying to find the right balance as far as making this seem legit, although in all fairness this is not. But again, in some way, shape, or form, we're experimenting here, so we'll see how this turns out. Okay, I think how we have it there, as far as kind of having that illusion that there's, in a way, the sun behind him, I think that's how we're gonna have it. So, believe it or not, if I were to maybe, okay, if I were to, in some way, shape, or form, kind of increase temperature, maybe even alter the hue, so we can kind of have that orange look to it, maybe we should be good. And then maybe as far as with the background, if we were to dial down or increase a little bit of the warmth, maybe. Again, this is very interesting to say the least, but let me see what I can come up with. Okay, I was debating on if I was gonna make it, or if I was gonna make the light source a little bit more orange, and at first I was gonna go ahead and do that, but as I look at it, probably not, because I need to alter the sky, I need to alter the background to kind of give it that nice warmth balance of warm colors. And again, since this was already originally taken in a cloudy setting, just making it warm would just make it not too realistic. So I kind of made a balance as far as making the light source white, and then making the background kind of, I guess, kind of that gray, a little bit towards the cool side. So I think how we have it right now, I think we should be good. I can already say off the bat, we are not gonna have a lot of layers of masking in this photo, just primarily on the fact that since we're dealing with a lot of underexposing elements in our photo, there's really no need to really go ahead and go crazy with masking, right? It's just something as simple, and in all fairness, that really might just be it with masking, just with two simple layers as far as with just the background, and then creating that illusion of the light source just behind the eagle. So as far as with right now with masking, that's gonna be it. Now we can go back here and make some tiny, subtle, and very minor adjustments, and I mean, believe it or not, that's really just gonna be it. Although maybe a vignette effect wouldn't be too bad. I would need to really think about it. But anyways, since we're already dealing, a grand portion of this photo is underexposed, and believe it or not, I like how we've created that illusion that the sun is behind the eagle. So we're just gonna raise up the blacks ever so slightly. And where else could we affect? Okay, maybe if we were to just very subtly, although I actually don't see that, no, because I was gonna make the background a little little bit more underexposed, but then that would kind of ruin the illusion that there's a light source behind the eagle. So in all fairness, I think with tone curve that is really going to be in. Again, not too many changes to begin with. So yeah, I kind of like how now we kind of had the balance. There's a balance now as far as with, mostly I'm kind of looking towards the sky in the background. Although I can see a little ring around the sun. I may have to fix that, but I'll see what I can do. Color mixture here is probably where we can kind of maneuver a little bit of the sky. I like how hue is, saturation. Okay, if we dial down a little bit of the saturation, it kind of looks a little bit better. I say now it looks a little bit better. Just dialing down a little bit of the saturation. I think that makes the setting of it being a cloudy morning, I think makes it a little bit better. With luminance we can keep it the same. Any other photo really here? Primarily not really. It's just dark and not too many color to begin with. This is where I'm a little bit debating. Do I want to add in a color gradient effect? Okay, just making it very subtle towards the violet. I personally like that. I actually really dig that. Okay, I actually like that, so we'll do that. And with everything else, really, in all fairness, there's no need to. Although maybe, what if we were to push it, maybe just the shadows, just so slightly towards a little bit towards the blue. I think that would add in a nice effect to it. Yeah, I kind of like that. Midtones and highlights, to be honest, we're just going to leave that be. Not too much to really work with those options. Detail, with mostly just sharpening and whatnot. As far as with the subject, just talking about the subject on its own, it's actually relatively in good detail. I would just maybe just very subtly just increase the amount of sharpening and just a small increase in detail. What we would mostly kind of worry about is I think in some way, shape, or form, the noise that we kind of have created here in our photo. Although there isn't really much to deal with. But let's see if we can do something. I just mostly want to see what we can fix with this portion of the white. And in all fairness, as I see it, there's no change occurring. And again, it's very subtle. Is anyone really going to notice it? Probably not. So believe it or not, we're actually going to leave that be. I actually kind of dig it in a way. So we'll leave that be. How would a vignetting effect look into this? Okay. Vignetting, we are going to add a very small vignetting effect. I like how it kind of adds into the photo. I actually really dig that. So just a small, very minor vignetting effect. Something as simple as that. Nothing more, nothing less. Calibration, maybe again with the blues. I don't want to increase the blues or as far as with blue primary and saturation, because we're going to kind of have the background looking unrealistic. So, but just a hint of blue may not be a bad idea. With saturation with green, again, not too much. And in all fairness, I think a slight decrease in saturation would actually kind of serve the photo better, just as far as with making it a little bit gray. And then with red, red you can kind of barely see a difference, but to kind of compensate the loss in saturation of green, just a slight increase in saturation. And believe it or not, that may actually be it. If we go ahead and do it before, relatively underexposed, just the whole photo as a whole. We've done a little bit of a magic trick. How do I feel about this? In all fairness, I actually really dig it. I actually like how we've made it that a little effect going on as far as, putting a light source right behind the eagle, which would explain why the eagle is underexposed to begin with. But if we were to look at the original photo, it was mostly because my lens was not bright enough. But in all fairness, I actually really digged how this photo came out. And just maybe a slight movement and cropping just to have the eagle dead in the center. All right, now I dig that. Now I like how that is. And in all fairness, I think that's just gonna be it. It's definitely a weird way to end off this quote unquote little series that I've built up as far as with Great Falls Park. Because we look at the last two photos I did. I mean, I stated yesterday that I wasn't gonna do copy and paste, although looking at it, I can see the similarities, or maybe even a copy and paste. This one is kind of unique in a way, in its own way, just on the fact that instead of doing the usual masking layers and piling up mask or layers of masking, kind of faking illusions, it was just something as simple as with 2 layers and mostly adding in a light source and behind the eagle. And I actually still, as I'm looking at it, as it kind of sinks in a little bit more, I actually kind of really dig the photo because, again, we look at the raw photo, underexposed, just nothing really interesting, to say the least. When we look at the edited photo, it was very minor in some way, shape, or form, but we just added that little illusion that, oh, there's a reason why this eagle was underexposed. It's because he's behind, or he's in front of the sun. Again, I'm sure there's a better way on doing this, and again, because to be honest, I didn't have a proper end goal as far as what was my goal with this photo, but I think it worked out pretty well. I think it worked out pretty well, and I actually really liked how this photo came out, so I can't really complain about it. But these past 3 videos that I've dedicated on Great Falls Park, I actually really enjoyed it. Not for the experience as far as, well, you guys weren't able to see it, but as far as me, the experience for me going out taking photos, spending 2 hours taking photos, and then sharing it, and then possibly these 3 photos being one of my most favorite edited photos I've done of all time. It brings me, in a way, a little joy, and I'm really happy for that. But overall, I liked how this photo came out, although it was very subtle, very different than what we've been doing over the past 2 videos, and more over the past 37 videos so far. But I liked how this came out. It's where I'm kind of expanding in variety and in styles of photography, and I'm just excited. And that's really all what I gotta say. But other than that, I don't got much to say afterwards. I thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully tomorrow on day 38, you guys see the newcomer. Let me put it like this: the newcomer to the videos. Not really specifically someone, but just something, and mostly that something involves of a nice gadget. Hopefully, if I'm able to take behind the scenes footage, and of course if my work schedule allows it, right? But if not, you should be seeing that newcomer very soon, in as far as with behind the scenes footage, or maybe, who knows, maybe I might add in a clip or 2 as far as just me using that newcomer. I still got to think about it. Other than that, I thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow on day 38.